Hi, would you tell us your name?
My name is Eamon Roach.
You had went through something several years ago with a car accident. Would you share your story?
Yep, it was April 1998, and I was a senior in high school. And that night, I was very excited about graduating from high school. I was on the cusp of something big, I could feel it. And I was looking forward to my prom. And a couple friends of mine got together, on a weeknight, started getting ready, to have some fun or whatever. Not causing any mischief. Met my eventual prom date, picked her up, and I was in the back seat of the car with her, with no seatbelt on. My friends were in the front seat. One was driving, one girl was in the passenger. The girl who was in the passenger seat, she owned the car. She was trying to hook up with my friend, the driver. And what wound up happening was we just wound up taking a cruise. It was like 8 o'clock at night or so. And the town was unfamiliar to my friend, the driver. And he wasn't even really necessarily speeding, maybe going 30 on a residential street, but nobody had enough time or told him about the very sharp turn that was coming up upon us. And what wound up happening is the car wound up slamming into a utility pole. And I obviously don't remember too much about that, but according to the stories, my friends told me, they all hopped out of the car, started making sure everybody was all right, and looked around and were wondering where I was. They looked in the car and they saw me basically through the radio of the car dashboard. So they called 911. I was rushed to the hospital, the local hospital, and I was in a coma for 32 hours. I believe, according to my parents, I was airlifted from Brockton to Boston Medical. And when I woke up, I could recognize all my family and all, but I thought I was in Florida. So I think it must have been where I wanted to be at the time or something. But yeah, that's what happened that night.
And then you went through another accident a couple of years later. Tell us.
Not even a couple of years. It was 18 months later. From that accident, I wound up getting a settlement check from the insurance company. And with that settlement check, I had moved out on my own and got my own apartment. So 18 months later, I was taking my friend to work early in the morning because he didn't have a car, and he had to meet a coworker of his in order to drive another hour out to his job. So I was just kind of expediting the process and being the intermediary. So I dropped him off to work in Boston, and coming back, and this is at 6 in the morning, and I was very surprised at the amount of traffic for 6 in the morning. So I was coming back, I had, my orange juice on the dash, in the cup holder in front of the radio there, and looked down. Well, I was driving towards, back home, and at the on-ramp, I saw a Jeep or something that looked like a Jeep coming on. So, I slowed down, let that one proceed, get on ahead of me, yielding to traffic, which is the law. And I looked down, picked up my orange juice for a quick second, looked up, all of a sudden the Jeep's right in front of me. Instead of smashing into the back of the car, I actually swerved to avoid hitting him. Had there been guardrails on this road, I would have been okay, but what actually wound up happening, it was kind of like a drift or a moat. So instead of slamming into a guardrail or something like that, my car actually wound up flipping 2 or 3 times. And I went, not completely through the windshield, but I smashed into the windshield. I remember everything there except for actually hitting the windshield. The mind actually, is a very powerful thing. It shut me off from that kind of pain, so I didn't actually feel any pain, but between rolling and then the car stopping and me lifting my head up and blood pouring from my face, I looked up, looked around. It was like, okay. I kicked the door open, started kind of walking around. The gentleman urged me to sit down, like lie down, lie down. So I laid down, and the CVS highway patrol truck was the first one actually on the scene before the ambulance and the police. And I was rushed to the hospital.
Well, I know it's been some time since then, and you're doing much better. What would you say to people that have been through an accident or that have a loved one that's injured or sick? Because your story is hopeful. You're out here in California doing things and working as an actor. What would you say to someone that's been through something hard like an accident or a major illness?
Stay strong. We all have a purpose on this earth. God didn't make mistakes. I mean, whatever your belief is, I personally, call it atheist, Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, doesn't matter. Whoever you believe in, your religious beliefs, doesn't matter. There's a higher power out there. There's a purpose for your being here. You're not taking up space on this earth. It's your air. Hold true to your beliefs. Follow your heart.
Is there hope after an accident? Have you went on with your life and found that you could still do whatever it was that's in your heart after the accidents happened?
Absolutely. I think the only thing that can stop a person from doing what they want to do in this life is themselves. You always have the ability to overcome. Stay strong, stay positive.
Thank you for sharing your story.